Hello, my name is John, and in this video, we're going to talk about what I learned this week. So, in today's edition of This Week I Learned, April 23rd, so this week was pretty rough on me. I would say on Thursday, I went to a Chicago Ruby meetup, and it was just a little like hack day, and the project was create like a deal or no deal app. And I don't know what came over me, but for some reason I thought, man, I should build this as a Rails app, and while everyone else just wanted while everyone else decided to build like a console app. And for some reason I had like this really big idea in my head, and I thought I could do it in 3 hours. And um, well, I was talking to some other people from a boot camp for veterans, and I made myself look like a fool. I talked myself up a lot. I lied uh, that I recently graduated when actually it's been about, I would say it's about 2 months since I finished my boot camp apprenticeship, my programming boot camp apprenticeship. So I just made myself look foolish, especially because these guys, they go to a full-time programming boot camp. So they claim that they spend 100 hours a week programming. I find that kind of hard to believe, but even if they just spent 40 hours programming, learning how to program, that's still a lot more hours than I could have spent learning how to program at Actualize. I would say we spent, well, like when we were in instruction, we spent about 25 hours a week learning how to program. So just like the sheer amount of time that they put was a lot more time than I put into learning how to program. So I did make myself look foolish, and I'm kind of ashamed of that. But at the same time, I learned that it's really easy to be arrogant when programming, and I think this is probably one of the biggest downfalls of like engineers and young programmers and just people in general in STEM. Like we're just like all a bunch of men or young boys, and we just have this need to like one up each other. And when you have that need to like one up each other, hubris is it's just a sin, pride, hubris. So I learned that at least as a programmer, I need to kind of tone it down a little bit. So, anyways, let's talk about the five main topics I also wanted to talk about. So, first topic, there will always be something new to learn in programming. When I talk to these programmers from the other boot camp, um, they use Twitter API, the Facebook API to like log into their application from Twitter, from Facebook, and I thought that was just amazing, because I haven't done that. Frankly, I haven't even thought to done that. Like on my web applications, I could go you could go ahead and go in there and log in using your own login information. But I see a lot of websites nowadays. They let you log in with Google. They let you log in with Facebook. They let you log in with your GitHub and your Twitter account, and that's all done through like their API. So I'm not sure about like GitHub, but like for example, like Twitter, you could go ahead and integrate the Twitter API into your web application to let you log in using your Twitter account. I didn't even think of doing that. I didn't even know that was possible, but that's something. I don't know how easy it is, but I know it's possible to do that. So, um, uh, so back to the point. There'll always be something new to learn in programming. There'll always be new features that you can add to your uh, web application, which that's amazing. Um, my fear as far as working is like looking busy, right? Like there's never enough work. So because there's never enough work, you have to make yourself look busy until 5 o'clock. And I'm really glad that this week I learned that that's probably never going to be the case in programming because there's just way too much to learn. And even if there wasn't something to learn, keeping yourself up to date is huge. I when I was in the boot camp, I was using Rails 4, but Rails 5 came out. Um, Angular 2 came out while I was in the boot camp, and now there's Angular 4. So at least like while you're working day to day, um, there's if you find yourself nothing to do, like don't be idle. Just go ahead and find something new. Okay, second point I want to make is focus on one tech stack when you're starting out in programming. After I left, after I finished the instruction portion of my coding boot camp, there was job postings near me that was like, oh, PHP and C Sharp and Java, and for me, like I just wanted to chase those jobs down, and I thought in order to, get those jobs, I would have to go ahead and learn that new language right away. And I mean, that might be true. If you want to get a job that requires you to have Java, you probably need to know something about Java. But this led to a trap that I fell victim for, and that's when you start to learn how to program, uh, it's very easy to like switch languages all the time and switch to what's hot or switch to what's popular or switch to what's popular in your geographical area. But you shouldn't be doing that. When you're learning programming, you should stick to one language, stick to one web framework, stick to one JavaScript network, stick with one tech stack, stick with your database. Don't go too crazy because until you work 40 hours a week doing programming, you really don't have that much time outside of work, outside of life, to learn programming. So it's just so easy to go all over the place. Don't fall for that trap. You're already busy as is. So uh, go ahead, pick your tech stack. My tech stack was already picked for me because I went to a coding boot camp, and that's the Ruby on Rails stack. Is it the best stack? Probably not. I mean, the disadvantages, it's not as popular as it was anymore. But the huge advantages of the Ruby stack is that I went to a boot camp that that taught pretty good fundamentals about using the Ruby on Rails stack. Ruby's really clean and easy syntax to read. You can host a Ruby on Rails app on Heroku. There's a lot of continuous integration tools with Ruby on Rails. You go, there's a really good unit testing tool for Ruby on Rails, RSpec. There's a lot of good modern tools for Ruby on Rails, and it is used for a lot of um, current and important web applications like GitHub, for example. So focus on one tech stack. Number three, I finished my Deal or No Deal hack app, I guess. Um, I saw how other people did it. They had like Deal or No Deal that's like 26 cases, and each case has money in it. And how I saw some people do it was like they had an array of like different dollar amounts. But that's not how I did my Deal or No Deal app. I did it using hashes. So like I would have in my cases hash, I would have case one, case two, case three, all the way to case 26, and I use that as my keys. I use my numbers as keys one through 26. Now as my values, I use that as a dollar amount. So the key one uh, led to a value of 1 penny, and that's how I tackled that challenge. Now, one thing that I didn't know how to solve for that app was whether or not to add validations. Like if someone didn't know what they were doing, they could enter a case 27, which doesn't exist in Deal or No Deal, and I didn't know whether to account for that in my on my Deal or No Deal hack app. So what I eventually decided to do was like, you know what, just get the project done. You're not supposed to spend too much time on it anyways. Just make something that works, and if you really want to, you could go ahead and add those fancy features later. Okay, so next topic, this is topic number 4, reviewed loops in Ruby. Again, it's been a while since I've been out of the boot camp, but it's been a while since I've been out of the apprenticeship, so I got a little rusty using basic Ruby. So again, I reviewed how to do like basic loops in Ruby, and it's not like I had the intention of setting basic loops. It's just that I did like a lot of old school algorithm problems, and a lot of those algorithm problems require you to use loops. In fact, I plan to like do some whiteboard work to show you what I mean in a later video. Okay, and the last thing I learned, I reviewed Big O notation. Big O notation is huge as far as doing like whiteboard interview problems. Um, it's probably not enough to just write out an algorithm on a whiteboard for like extra brownie points. you want to go ahead and talk about the efficiency of using your algorithm that you decided to do. Um, and just like really quick, like O of 1 is like an algorithm that takes like one step no matter how many inputs you have. O of n, that's like a linear input. Like you get one extra step as you add one extra input. Um, O of n squared, that's like when the amount of, was it the efficiency of your algorithm decreases exponentially as you add in more inputs to your algorithm. I think I don't want to use the word inefficient, but I'm going to stick with that. Basically, like it's going to take when you put in one input, it's going to take one step. But like for example, if you put two inputs, it's gonna there's more work to be done. So when you have like five inputs, boom, you get this like exponential curve. Okay, so that's this week I learned. I plan to have more this week I learned. So please follow my YouTube channel. Please follow. I plan to improve, at least a little bit every day until like I can land my first developer job. And at this point, I just want to do whatever it takes. So I hope you follow with me on this journey. I hope you subscribe, and I hope you learned something from this video. Have a nice day.